God. All there is. No more doubt or confusion. I release pain of illusion. Yes, there's only one solution. Yeah, yeah. What I found is oh so simple. Deeper love in a temple, and I found it in the stillness of my soul. 'Cause all there is God. Oh, yeah. All there is God. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All there is God. Let me hear your voice. All there is God. Now I'm resting in the knowing that my good is overflowing, and my faith is ever growing. Yeah, yeah. Oh, take me back to the beginning. I feel the Spirit moving in me. Make me stronger, make me willing. Yeah. All there is God. Oh, yes. All there is God. Oh, everywhere you turn. All there is God.
All there is love.
All there is love.
All there is peace.
All there is peace. Past all understanding.
All there is truth.
All there is truth.
All there is God.
All there is God.
All there is God.
All there
All there is God. God is all there is.
all there is. Now I'm resting in the knowing that my good is overflowing, and my faith is ever growing. Yeah, yeah. Take me back to the beginning. Feel my spirit moving in me. Make me stronger, make me willing. Yeah. All there is God. All there is God. Yeah. All there is God. Oh, God. Everywhere you turn. All there is
Without a warning, without a sound, we woke up one morning to a world turned upside down. Everything changed in the blink of an eye, dealing with the unknown and trying to survive. We were locked down in our homes, surrounded by bad news every day, watching our lives as we knew it quickly fade away. And when this is all over, in our new reality, we'll be gathered together. Will we still stay apart 6 feet? Will the music be playing like it did before? When this is all over, I'll treasure each day even more. We've been through quite a battle, like none we've ever seen. We kept hoping we'd wake up to find out it was all a bad dream. But that day's never come. It'll be a while yet, with more obstacles to overcome and challenges to be met. We were locked down in our homes, surrounded by bad news every day, watching our lives as we knew it quickly fade away. And when this is all over, in our new reality, when we're gathered together, will we still stay apart 6 feet? Will the music be playing like it did before? When this is all over, I'll treasure each day even more. We were locked down in our homes, surrounded by bad news every day, watching our lives as we knew it quickly fade away. And when this is all over, in our new reality, when we gather together, will we still stay apart 6 feet? Will the music be playing like it did before? When this is all over, I'll treasure each day even more. And when this is all over, I'll treasure each day even more.
What about sunrise? What about rain? What about all the things that you said we were to gain? What about killing fields? Is there a time? What about all the things that you said were yours and mine? Did you ever stop to notice all the blood we shed before? Did you ever stop to notice the crying earth, the weeping shore? What have we done to the earth? Look what we've done. What about all the peace that you pledged your holy son? What about flowering fields? Is there a time? What about all the dreams that you said were yours and mine? Did you ever stop to notice all the children dead from war? Did you ever stop to notice the crying earth, the weeping shore? I used to dream, I used to glance beyond the stars. Now I don't know where we are, but I know we've drifted far. Can we set him free?
Just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, yeah.
Hello and welcome to the People of Diversity Sunday service. We are a multi-faith community and we believe there are many paths to one divinity. We have 10 different faith speakers, faith perspectives, and we have 10 different sets of musicians, And at the beginning of every 10-week series, we give them a single word topic. Then they take their turn for a week. The speakers send us a message. The musicians send us a couple of music videos. We do the hellos and goodbyes. Send it all to Philip, and he puts it together and creates this Sunday service. So how can you help with this endeavor? Go to www.peopleofdiversity.org and press the donate button. We pay our speakers, we pay our musicians, we pay Philip and his team, and we appreciate everything everybody does. We really appreciate the people that have already come along and made making regular tithes, because it helps a lot with the budgeting process. So thank you to them.
All right. Last week we had Wiccan Oracle, and he was with Donna Frost from her backyard in the mountains of Tennessee, which I always love getting to see. This week we have our Native American speaker, Will Davis, from his backyard. Becky and I had the opportunity to go over and video for him earlier this week, and it's always a treat to go and see grandfather. So those are always our prize moments during these rotations. He is coupled with Bob and Shannon. I say that loosely. That would be Bob, Sima, Shannon, Plummer, but it's just kind of Bob and Shannon because they're here now and they're friends, and I almost forget their last name. Next week we have Swami Dumabadi and actually Bob and Shannon's good friends, Jason and Heather Powers, and they're coming to us from California. And if you want to get past services, you're going to go to the People of Diversity page or group. If you want to get notifications, you have to join the People of Diversity page or group, and then you'll get that little ding on Sunday morning. It also gives you a place to return back to and look under the videos or look under the live, depending on if you're in the group or the page. And that lets you go back almost 3.5 years at this point and look up what you're looking for. Now, we're also about to go through some pretty radical Facebook changes, and things are going to get scrambled eggs for a couple of weeks. We'll see what happens. But we will maintain that archive, no matter what, on YouTube as well. And that will be one of our prime places to send folks as far as going back and watching little videos. All right, from there, we have, after the morning service, from 11:45 to 12:15, we have a deep dive. We get to see each other's face. Most of the time, our speakers can join us. Will has not yet, and I don't know that he has the technical prowess to show up, because that's why we go to his house and video. So we'll see you Sunday after we'll see you later on after the service. And then in the evening at 5:45, we rebroadcast the morning service, and you're able to pick it up if you're at your own church in the morning, or just send folks back or come back and watch it again. That's what Becky and I do. We watch it a second time, and there's just so much more available on that second run. I don't know why that is either. It's like I listen to it the same way. So I think that's all I know.
That's enough.
Okay.
Each week we bless a country, and if you have facts, pictures, if you've ever been to the country that we're blessing next week, and got some things you want to share, send them to the email address below. Our country next week is the Gambia. The Gambia.
The Gambia?
The Gambia, yes. I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
This week we are blessing Gabon. Gabon is located on the Atlantic coast of Central Africa. And there are only 2.5 million people in the whole country. It's not very densely populated. About 42% Roman Catholic, 46% other Christian, and 6% Muslim. This is really cool. Gabon has been inhabited for around 400,000 years. There are historical references to the Pygmy people starting in 2276 BC. And the ancestors of those original Pygmies comprise about 0.3% of the current population in Gabon. They have a very young population. 40% are less than 15 years old, and only less than 4% are over 65.
Wow.
Almost 90% of Gabon is rainforest. In 2019, Gabon received $17 million for reducing carbon emissions by protecting the rainforest. That was the first payment in a $150 million deal from the United Nations. It has 550 miles of beautiful, pristine coastline. The equator passes through Gabon, and it's one of only 13 countries in the world. The average daytime temperature is 86 degrees year-round. Yeah. Their flag is 3 horizontal stripes. The top stripe is green, the bottom stripe is blue, and the middle stripe is yellow to represent the equator. It's known as Africa's last Eden, and it's home to the largest concentration of elephants in the world. There's 5 per square mile. The biggest troop of mandrills in the world lives there, and 80% of Africa's gorilla and baboon populations are in Gabon. So it's a very popular place for people to go and look at wildlife. And here's our last fact. This is kind of cool. In 1924, Albert Schweitzer established a hospital to treat leprosy in Gabon. And for his humanitarian work there, he won the 1952 Nobel Peace Prize. And the really cool thing is that hospital is still in operation today. Yeah. So, let's hold the people of Gabon in our hearts, wishing them prosperity and abundance and love, and say these words together. May peace prevail in Gabon. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in me. Thank you.
Bob and Shannon. Still going by just their first names because it's more fun. Will bring us 2 songs on freedom. I tried to work them into a specific song, but I was too late on the draw. So I don't even know what they're bringing us, but it will be amazing. And I already know that Will's talk is absolutely, and he literally just started thinking about it before we got there. He's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Without further ado, we'll see you on the other side.
Given so much of me. I have given, I have given, I have given so much of me. And I am open, I am open, I am open to receive.
so much of me, and I am open, I am open, I am open to see. I am open, I am open, I am open to see. And I am ready, I am ready, I am ready to be free. I am ready, I am ready, I am ready to be free. And something amazing is changing in me. And something sacred is awakening. Come on, sing it with us. I am ready, I am ready, I am ready to be free. Come on, y'all. I am ready, I am ready, I am ready to be free.
Good morning. I've been asked to talk about freedom. And when I was thinking about this little song kept going off in my head. You know, freedom's just another word for nothing left to do. Thank you, Janis Joplin. And that kept running over my head. But I thought about for a while, you know, how do you talk about freedom? Because in my mind and in my experience, freedom is kind of like this fantasy type thing that we have in our minds. You know, everybody talks about, well, I'm free or I want to be free. And I don't think we quite define that for ourselves. Because when you stop and think about it, there's only one place ever that freedom really exists, and that's here in our minds. Everywhere else, there's always going to be some constraint, some boundary beyond which you cannot go or are not allowed to go. You hear the expression free as a bird. Well, when you stop and think about it, birds aren't all that free, okay? Yeah, they can fly, and that would be kind of nice if you could fly, but they're also got all these constraints on them. Their whole lives are spent either trying to find food, because birds have to eat frequently to keep their metabolisms up. They're restricted by whatever the atmosphere is around them. So when we talk about freedom, let's think of that in terms of acknowledging what our boundaries are, acknowledging what our limits are, but understanding that within those boundaries, within those limits, we're unlimited. And when we get to a boundary or to a limit, then we can decide at that point if we want to expand those or not. And some people do, and some people don't. Some people become comfortable within their realm of experience, within their realm of living. And that's okay. Each of us have to establish within ourselves, as I said just a minute ago, defining what freedom means for us. You know, and sometimes we globalize that, and sometimes we keep it very restricted to ourselves. You know, in fact, somebody asked me just the other day, and that's what gave me pause to think about it, was, you're one of the freest people I've ever met. And I'm going, well, actually, no, I'm not. I've got all kinds of boundaries around me. Some of them are self-imposed. Some of them are other-imposed. You know, there's laws you can't break. There's speed limits you're not supposed to go beyond. Sometimes. So I I think when we get comfortable with the idea that freedom is more mental and emotional than it is actually out here in the world, then we become a little bit more free. It's like, in fact, my son was talking to me this morning about, he had been thinking about, is there any way to just travel the entire world for free? And I'm like, no, there isn't. You're going to have to eventually make some kind of payment. You're going to have to eventually give up something in order to get what you want, whether that's money or time or effort or whatever. And that's why I tell people, nothing in this universe is free, absolutely nothing. Everything has a price. All you have to determine is if you're willing to pay the price. And sometimes we even get to decide how expensive or not expensive that's going to be. And I think when we're much younger, the world is a lot more expansive and big and mysterious and attractive. I think as we get older and we gain experience, I mean, I've traveled all over the world. And it's for the most part free because the military paid for it. But at the same time, I had to give up time, I had to give up effort. There was always something in exchange, that agio, that exchange premium that comes with, if I want this, I might have to give up this. It also made me think about the idea of coming from my Buddhist philosophy. The Buddha taught that all suffering is caused by our attachments to the material world. And that includes our sense of freedom. And the way to end that suffering is to give up those attachments. And I think even Buddhists have kind of misinterpreted that over the years, that it's not so much that you can't have stuff or own things. The idea of attachment comes from when those things begin to own you and you feel like you can't live without them. Because when I was in India, I spent some time with some monks and some lamas, and I ultimately became Buddhist as a result of that. But we were talking about that, and I said, well, I've not seen any of you walking around naked without your rice bowls. I said, you have an attachment to that robe. It also identifies you as a monk. And then your begging bowl, you don't eat if you don't have that. So you have an attachment to that. It's just you don't allow that to own you. And I watched some of these monks. I paid attention. I spent time with them. And what I learned is that maybe they have come the closest to actually being free of most people I've ever met, because they really don't worry about this over here or tomorrow or this over here. They stay very much in the present. And I remember asking this Lama once, I said, how do you deal with time? How do you deal with, I said, you seem so serene all the time and like nothing ever bothers you. And he looked at me and he smiled and he says, everything bothers me. But I don't allow that to stand in my way. He said, I just acknowledge that something is bothering me, and then I set about changing it if I can. If I cannot change it, then I just accept that's the way it is. And in my young, untrained mind at the time, I went, isn't that kind of like giving up? Isn't that like a failure? And he said, well, you can see it that way. At the same time, you can also see that you're not all powerful. And there are some things that are just going to be the way they're going to be, and you either accept that or you become attached to your worriment about it. And I went, oh, okay. So in the process of freedom, I think if we allow our minds, there's an old saying that where I am now, Tokyo was last night. We have our dreams, we have our minds, and you can go anywhere. Even if you've never been there before, you've seen pictures, maybe videos, so you can be there. So there's no limits on that. There's no limits on our imagination. As an artist, I think where would I be without my imagination? Because I can dream up things and I can create them that kind of didn't exist before. Like I've got a patio over here with killer whales swimming across it. People go, Will, where'd you come up with that idea? And I'm going, from my grandson. Because it used to be part of a splash pad that I had further over here, and I moved it all over here and redid it. The idea of freedom, I think, is also, it becomes almost philosophical, I think. When I hear other people talk about freedom, like in America, we're the freest country in the world. Are we? There's all kinds of constraints. Okay, I have to pay income tax. I mean, you know, come on. But we do have more latitude than a lot of other places in this country. At the same time, this little piece of our grandmother Earth that I'm sitting on right now, sitting with, is my place of freedom. Here, I can do anything I want to. If I want to walk around naked, I will, because I don't have any neighbors. Well, there's a couple of coons and possums that come around from time to time. But that's not the ultimate freedom now, is it? Just being able to do whatever you want to do. Because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, the law of cause and effect. If I want to do this, I also have to consider that this may be the result. And I'm the kind of person that before I do anything, I think about it for a really long time. And I want to make sure that my thinking is in line with what I believe in. And those tenets and those ideologies that I try to practice on a daily basis. And I think that also creates a certain amount of freedom. Just yesterday, a lady came to me who had just lost her daughter to suicide, and she was almost inconsolable. And so we talked and talked and talked. And when she left here, she was smiling. She was no longer tied up in knots. Now, don't misunderstand, it was nothing I did or even said. It was her willingness to let go of some of the grief and to let go of some of the anger. You know, she was angry at God. How could he do this to me? Or she, or they, how could God do this to me? And I, well, God didn't do anything to you. There's always a plan, and that plan is perfect. Just because we don't understand it or agree with it doesn't mean anything. The universe also is perfect in its design and function. And we're just this tiny little cog on the great wheel, the great circle of the universe. But our being there is absolutely necessary to the function of everything else. See, I'm on this video today because Scott and Becky comes here to video me because I'm technologically challenged. I tried doing my own video at first, and all you could see was like my chest, and then the next time you could see my ear, the next time you saw my knees. I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work for me. Now, it actually sounds like I get off subject. Sometimes I don't. I'm still talking about freedom. I'm talking about freedom of choice. See, we have that freedom, and it's unfettered. Life is all about choices. And if we find out we've made a choice that maybe isn't so good or incorrect, we can change it. You know, we're not stuck with, you know, you heard those sayings like, you've made your bed, now you have to lie in it. No, I don't. I can get up, I can change the sheets, I can go get a new bed. There's not, that's where your freedom is in your willingness to make adjustments when something isn't going so well. Or if something's going really well, we're still going to have to make adjustments from time to time to keep it going really well. So there's always that boundary there. I think I'm going to challenge you today with look at yourself in the mirror for like 3 minutes. And then close your eyes and see yourself somewhere else. Maybe it's somewhere you've never been. And hold that image, go with it, be there, walk around streets. Experience the freedom that comes from our mind. Experience the freedom that comes from, I can think about anything and it doesn't matter. The only time it might matter is if I tell you what I'm thinking, and then you might get upset. But there, we're just without constraint. And I love that. I love that. Because as an artist and a writer, and even speaking now with you, you know, in my mind, I've already formed ideas, I've already formed words, I've already formed images about what I was going to be talking about. And sometimes that's like just 2 seconds before I start talking. I told Becky this morning when they got here, I said, you know, I said, this is the first time I've actually thought about what I was going to talk about, rather than just sitting down and go, blunk. And I always got it wrong too. It's last time I kept, in my mind, I said, well, we're going to be talking about respect. And she says, no, you're not going to be talking about respect. And I went, oh, okay, what are we talking about? And so I went with it. I think for me, the freedom there is I just let my mind go. I try not to edit it. I try not to restrict it. Whatever's going to come out, comes out. And sometimes it even makes sense. And I'm sometimes as surprised by that as other people are. There's been times I stop right and I say, ooh, I need to start listening to what I'm saying because it might serve me some purpose later on, you know, instead of just sitting there pontificating, listen. And that's the other challenge I'm going to give you is maybe for a couple of days, listen to what you say, regardless of what it is. Somebody asks for advice, listen to what you tell them. Because I think a lot of times we have all this wisdom and really good advice that we don't exactly follow ourselves, but it really works well for others. So part of this thing called freedom is that I allow myself expression within reason. See, and there's the boundary, within reason. I don't want to insult people. I try not to use bad language, although every now and then one slips out because I'm not watching it, right through my eye teeth. But then I try to call it back. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Well, yes, I did. It's just, you know, it slipped out and I didn't mean for it. That's what I meant. I didn't mean for that to just slip out. Part of freedom also is acknowledging my foibles. When I make a mistake, own it. Acknowledge it. Do something about it if you can. But the most important thing is do what you can to not repeat that mistake. That's how we learn. If we keep making the same mistake over and over again, we become almost a prisoner to the repetition of it. And it becomes a cycle that we get caught on. And when you look out around yourself and you look at the world, you look at the business world, and I look at these CEOs and all these other people, and I go, wow, you know. Because I remember one time somebody asked me, you know, how do you get rid of some of this stuff? How do you get free? And I thought to myself, I said, what would the Buddha say if somebody asked him that? So I thought about it for a few minutes, and what came to me is that we are the creators of our own prisons. Therefore, we hold the keys. All we have to do is unlock the door and walk outside. But see, that's where the problem comes in, is most of us feel fear about that. Because if we walk outside, then we become responsible for ourselves and maybe for what's around us. So in that sense, freedom isn't free. It comes with a certain level of responsibility. And doing that, when we accept the responsibility and we become responsible people, that actually expands our freedom. It makes us a little more free because we're not tied up with trying to correct everything. When I was a kid, one of the things I hated the most was when people would correct me all the time. Because I knew what I was saying, I knew what I meant to say, and I knew what I wanted to say. But then I'd be corrected. Oh, well, your grammar was really bad. Or, but did you understand what I was saying? Oh, yeah. There you have it. The only time I edit is when I'm actually writing, because people aren't hearing me. So I have to depend on grammar and punctuation to make sure they understand the idea I'm trying to put across. Even with that, the written word, when you read a book, I don't know too many people who don't already form images of what these characters look like, how they are, what their personalities are. I do all the time. And then if they make a movie out of them, I'm always disappointed because they don't look like I thought they should look. So I make up their minds for them. I think if you truly want to be free, you will set about doing what it takes to accomplish that, understanding that the only place freedom unfettered exists is in our minds. That once we begin to manifest out here, then there's going to be boundaries, restrictions, and limits. Even as an artist, once I put the painting on the canvas, it's manifested. I can go and change it if I want to. I can paint over it. However, that one idea has been captured now on the patio or the canvas, and it'll stay that way forever unless somebody else changes it. And that's the thing about change and about decisions and choices. I mean, there's lots of times I've got canvases in there that has 5 or 6 paintings underneath the one you're looking at, because I'm going, okay, I don't like this. I'm making a choice here now to change it. Sometimes it's way better. Sometimes I wish I'd have kept the original one now. And maybe the last thing I want to talk about is understanding. Sometimes we think we understand and find out later we didn't understand. And do you know what? That's okay. I mean, I hardly ever understand anything. And I have had those wow moments and those moments and this, that, and the other, those flashes of inspiration. One of the things I think is about freedom is when you have a flash of inspiration, follow it. What's the worst thing that can happen? You know, and I go through that process. You know, what's the worst thing that can happen if I follow this inspiration? Okay, Okay, if that happens, then what's the worst thing that can happen? And if you go through the whole thing of then what could happen, then what, by the time you get to it, what it comes down to is that nothing will happen. And that's our biggest fear, isn't it? Is that idea of nothing. Because we think of freedom as everything, you know? And when we go through a process of elimination, we find out that, oh, yeah, maybe that wasn't what it was at all. So again, let me just recap a little bit here. Define freedom for yourself. Don't depend on Webster or somebody else. Define it for you. What does that mean? And then set about bringing that into your world of reality if it's possible. If it's not, then acknowledge, okay, that didn't work, so let me do this. Never use the word try. Okay. Instead of say, oh, I'm going to try this. No, I'm going to do this. And let's see what happens. Because sometimes even our language restricts our freedom. We engage in hope and wish and try. And those are all inert words. They don't produce nothing. Okay? If all I'm ever going to do is try, okay. When I hear people say try, my first thought is, oh, you're not even going to really think about it, are you? You know, I've asked people, you know, hey, can you help me out here? Well, I'll try. And I'm going, oh, okay. Let me go ask somebody else. You know, and it's not about me. It can never be about me. I mean, too many people get caught up in their ego with that. Me, I. And boy, does that restrict your freedom. Because all of a sudden you realize, ooh, nobody wants to be around me. What's up? Well, they have choices too. And I'm looking up at the sky and I think maybe we're going to get rain here pretty soon. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to close this off, but I want to close this off with this. In the great scheme of things, we might appear to be insignificant in our size and function when we compare ourselves to the rest of the universe. But when you think about how absolutely necessary you are for the complete functioning of everything else, then you become important. And always remember this. I don't know who will see this video or anything like that, but remember this: I love you. And there's really anything you can do about that, because that's my choice. You don't have to accept that at all. And I promise you I won't feel any pain as a result of that. But as long as you know that somebody out there loves you, and they don't even care, they don't even know you, they don't even care what kind of person you are, but they love you anyway. And there's freedom with that. There's a lot of freedom that comes with that. You know, I look over here at Scott and Becky, and I love them very much. And I've known Scott since God was a corporal. I've watched him kind of grow up. Ooh, that's kind of telling my age, isn't it? Ugh. But anyway, you know, have the most wonderful day you can possibly have the most wonderful week you can possibly have. But even beyond that, have the most wonderful life you can possibly have. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob and Shannon. You guys always kill it every time, and we so appreciate everything you do for us, not just here on the pod videos, but all your things that you do behind in the background. Thank you so much. And Will, you're just like Scott said, it's the highlight, the highlight of the week for sure, if not the entire month, to go and sit with you and hang out and listen to you give your talk just right off the top of your head. And we so appreciate that and love you very much. Thank you, Philip. We love you too. Always taking everything, all the pieces and parts, and as Scott alluded to earlier, things are changing on Facebook yet again, and we're having to figure out new and different ways to do our broadcasts, but we're working on it, and Philip's pulling it together, so everything's going to be fine. If you have needs like this out there in the world, technical needs, either virtual or in person, contact Philip and he will be able to help you out because he's getting us through this.
Yes.
So, we have all the confidence in the world. So, don't forget we have our deep dive, 11:45 to 12:15 after the morning service. And we get together and chit chat and talk about the message and share. It's always fun. And then at 5:45 on Sunday evening, we rebroadcast the morning service. So jump on that. That's on Facebook Live, and we can chat in the window and shoot hearts and things. So do that. And that's the service that will be pinned to the top of the Facebook group and the Facebook page. So if you want to go back during the week and watch the last service, you can do that. And next week is one of our dear friends, Swami Dumabadi from the Kashi Ashram down in Sebastian, Florida. And her musical guests are Jason and Heather Powers, all the way from California. So it'll be a really interesting, good week to see what Swami Dumabadi has to say about freedom from a Vedic yoga perspective.
I think that's an example of one of the really cool things about being virtual.
Oh yeah.
Is that we get to pull in people who otherwise would have had to, Swami would have had to drive hours to get to us, to show up in person, and Heather and Jason couldn't.
Right.
So it's really cool that we get to pull all these neat people together and bring them all together here virtually every week. So we're just really grateful for this really, really cool platform. All right, so let's just reconnect with how this thing keeps going. So www.peopleofdiversity.org. Find that donate button and move as you're directed to from your source, and we'll be grateful for all that happens. Let's take just a moment right now and close our eyes, plant our feet, and just focus our attention on gratitude. And Spirit, thank you for this amazing platform, for the people who support it, for the support that continues to grow, and for the viewership that continues to grow. We are so very grateful, and we say amen. So don't click off just yet. The most important piece of the service is next. If you'll bring to your mind's eye anyone in your world who needs support, love, healing, and bring them to the center of a circle in your mind's eye, and let's include in there our leaders and folks around the world who are moving to do the next right thing, and to give new thought and new awareness to folks who are not doing the right thing. And let's put everyone in that circle. Listen to this last song and open yourself up, because the energy has to come back to you as well. Have an amazing day, an amazing week, and we'll see you next time.
One power, one power, one power, one power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of